Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. The show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Saturday, July 25th, 2015. This is episode 1205. Enjoy. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, and all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo is the number. If you have a question or a comment or a suggestion, 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Otherwise, use Skype to call me. Heather Hammond, the phone ranger, is here to answer your calls, answer your questions. Every week, it seems like, in fact, pretty much all the time on this show, I talk about security. Of course, what is more important? If there's one, important lesson, it's how to protect yourself on the internet, your computers, your smartphones. Keep yourself from getting hacked. And of course, every week in the news, we talk about somebody else getting hacked. Who was it this week? Ashley Madison. That must have sent a chill down the spines of a few fellas. I can't remember. It was millions of records released. So an interesting study came from Google, the online security blog at google.com this week, comparing how security experts and normal folks secure their systems. And there's a big difference. And if you've listened to this show for any length of time, and I hope you have heard me say over and over again, tell you the rules of protecting your computer, according to security experts. But it's interesting, when this study came out, comparing expert and non-expert security practices, they did, it was kind of an eye-opener. They did two surveys, one with 231 security experts, and then with another 294 non-security experts who use the web on a regular basis. And they asked them for their top online safety practices. And the non-experts, I think you probably, ask yourself, what are your top 5 security tips if you're not a security expert? What are they? Number 1, among the surveyed group, and I bet among most of you, and I know because I hear this all the time on the phone, antivirus software. Number 1. We'll talk about that. Well, security experts in general say that's a sense of false security. I'll tell you why in a second. Number 2, among the non-experts, use strong passwords. Good. That's sinking in. Number 3, change passwords frequently. That actually doesn't show up on the list for security experts at all. At all. Change passwords frequently. Number 4, only visit websites you know. I don't know how that got into the consciousness of normal human beings, but that's not. And number 5, don't share personal information. That's probably not bad advice, but also not on the list of security experts' top 5. You want to hear what the security experts' top 5 is? And I've been telling you this for a long time. Okay. Number 1, by the way, antivirus doesn't show up anywhere. Anywhere. Number 1, install software updates. How many times have I told you that? Install software updates. And nowadays, it's not just for your operating system. Of course, you're doing that. In fact, the bad guys know it. That's why they're attacking things like Flash, Adobe Flash, or Adobe Reader, or Java, things that you use on the internet that aren't your operating system, your browsers. Number 2, use unique passwords. Not, and I would say they probably say use strong passwords too, but unique is important because most normal people use the same password over and over again. Bad idea. Don't do that. Do not use the same password over and over again. Use a unique password for every site. Number 3, Not on the normal person's list. Big with security experts, and I've told you this too. Use two-factor authentication where it's available, and that's more and more. You know, that's where you not only have your bank. I hope your bank does this. And you certainly should be doing it, where you enter the password, but then the bank says, "Okay, now we're going to send you a text message, or whip out your dongle or your special card and press a button on it and give us that 6-digit code." That's what we call second-factor authentication, and that makes a big difference. If your bank doesn't offer that now, they sure as heck oughta. Two-factor, press that little button on the two-factor card and get that code or get the text message. I actually like the text message. That's more convenient. Number 4, now use strong passwords. Notice that's below use unique passwords. And number 5, use a password manager, and that facilitates number 2 and 4. Use unique passwords, use strong passwords. A password manager keeps track of those. The reason people don't do that, I know why. You know, I do it too. We reuse passwords is because it's I don't want to remember a strong, long password for every place I go in the world. Passwords are the big problem right now. We're going to fix that, by the way. Everybody's working hard to get rid of passwords. For most of our lives, we didn't have passwords. Well, if you're of a certain age, we didn't. People my age, you had to remember your locker combination. That's about it. There was no. What's the password to use your bank? Well, I don't need a password. I walk in and say hello, and they recognize me. Maybe I'll show my driver's license if they don't. That's for most of us of a certain age. Passwords are only in the last 20 years with the wide adoption of the World Wide Web. We're gonna get a better solution, I promise. So interesting, no antivirus software. Now, I'll tell you why antivirus software isn't something you should rely on. The security experts say it gives you a false sense of security. You think, oh, I'm safe, I'm running antivirus software. The problem is most viruses these days are what we call zero-day exploits. They've never before been seen by the antivirus companies, so there's no way to find them. Antiviruses are good for finding old viruses, not new viruses. So relying on an antivirus is probably not a good idea. It gives you a false sense of security, they say. And the good news is Windows, for the last couple of versions, has come with an antivirus, so you probably don't need to go out and buy one. What? Everybody gets a new PC. They get that free trial edition of Symantec or Norton or McAfee. I say get rid of it. I really do. Password manager is interesting. Now, I wish they'd include a password manager with a new computer. LastPass is my favorite, but there's many that work great. And they let you generate good, long, strong passwords. And remember them. You only have to remember one password. That's the one for your password manager. Two-factor authentication. A lot of people don't do that because it seems like a pain. You should do it on the accounts that you care the most about. Your Google account, your email account if you can, your bank accounts for sure. I wish Amazon offered that. They don't. I'm not sure why. Only visit websites you know. Well, that's not really a solution for 2 reasons. One, even a website you know can infect you. Bad guys are notorious for getting into websites because that's a great way to get other people, right? And 2, well, that kind of limits where you go. If it's only a website you know, that's not really using the World Wide Web as it was meant to be. So you should be able to go where you want on the web. And you know, if you do the right thing, if you update your software, you use unique, strong passwords, you will be a lot safer. You can surf the web without worry. I'll put a link in this in the show notes to this article so you can read it for yourself. Our show notes are at techguylabs.com. That's our website. You can go there. See, if you didn't know that website, you go, oh, that's dangerous. No, it's safe. techguylabs.com. It's free. You don't have to sign up. It's interesting that there is such a gap between what security experts do. Notice, no antivirus to protect themselves, and what normal people do. And I think part of this is the normal people stuff comes from a hodgepodge of sources, like how it used to be. That's for antiviruses. Change passwords frequently. That comes from work, doesn't it? Because the IT guy makes you change your password every 3 months. How annoying is that? You know what? That's silly. That's silly talk. Makes sense in a business, I guess, in case employees leave. Not necessary. And it makes passwords harder to remember. So what do? Well, you start writing them down, putting them on Post-it notes on your screen, and that's a problem. 8888 Ask Leo. Let's talk high tech, and I'll talk security with you too. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Your call's next.
I just want to ask really quick. Do you remember Brandon from the other weekend? He's calling back
Is he a kid?
Yeah, he was asking about mics. Now he just wants to know condenser or dynamic. I thought we could just do it right now off air.
Off air?
Yeah.
I told him on the air last time, dynamic.
Okay.
I already told him that.
He should have listened to his
He should have listened. No, Brandon's
don't
okay. He's a
listen these
12-year-old.
days.
You know how 12 years old.
Sure,
And he's super smart. And
is.
I'm sure he's listening now. Brandon, remember what I said? Condenser mics are too sensitive. Get a dynamic mic. I told you what to get, the SM58, but something comparable, a dynamic mic. Don't get a, we don't use, this is a dynamic mic. We don't use condenser mics. A lot of radio stations do, and then that's why they have to soundproof the room, put up foam padding, egg cartons, all that stuff.
Oh, that's what that's all about.
That's what that's all about. Condenser mics are used often in recording environments because they're extremely sensitive and they maybe pick up more nuance. And so in a controlled recording environment, a recording studio, maybe that's a good idea. They're also much more expensive. Now, we use condenser mics in the studio for the lavalier because the other advantage a condenser mic has is it's small. Whether you're a brother or whether you're a mother, you're staying alive, staying alive. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. Heather Hammond's the phone ranger. That's what we call her. I don't know why, but we do. Because she's taking the calls. Look at that. She's doing the John Travolta. You could tell by the way I use my walk dance. Are you a ladies' man? No time to talk?
That's right.
I actually like that song in the movie now, but boy, when that came out and I was a DJ and I had to play a Bee Gees song every 5 minutes, I learned to hate it.
Really?
Oh, man.
Have you come full circle to where
Yeah,
you
I've come around. It's nostalgia now.
That is a heck of a soundtrack.
It really is. Yeah. The Brothers Gibb. What should I do here? I see so many wonderful callers.
Don't you?
Yeah.
I got a good group today.
They're a fine-looking group. They're all huddled together, suffering for their art.
For warmth.
For warmth. Who should
Actually,
I talk to?
Stephanie in Venice, California, is the one creating all the heat because she's got a phone that kind of...
It's warming up. It's getting hot in here. Hi, Stephanie. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for taking my call.
You're welcome.
I actually own 2 Samsung Galaxy S3 phones because I really like them.
Yeah.
And the second one that I got, these were not new. These were from eBay. And I noticed the second one is faster and it doesn't heat up like my first one does. And my first one was probably about 4 months older than the one I have now. And I noticed that it heats up really fast in the back of the phone, and it's much slower.
And you have the same things installed on both of them in the same version of the operating system and all of that?
I mean, there's a few things. The phones came with a few different things loaded in them.
Okay. First thing you want to do, anytime you get any computing device, anything with storage on it from eBay, is wipe it completely and start over. You do not want to use the stuff that came with it. So security tip number 1, immediately, you don't know what's on that. So there's different stuff. Is somebody else's account set up on it?
No, not at all.
You fixed that part.
I did.
But it came with some software on it besides the actual operating system.
Yeah, just one piece of one software, and that's it.
Oh, and what was that? Just out of curiosity.
I don't have my phone in front of me.
Super duper spyware software.
No, nothing like that.
Well, you don't know, do you? Can you tell? How can you tell?
Yeah, well, I looked at all the applications and I went through it with a fine-tooth.
No, you didn't. You can't. You can't. You looked at the names of the programs. You can't unless you can look inside the magic properties of that program, which I couldn't do. No one can do. You don't know what those programs do. So, first of all, it's possible that the 2 different phones are different enough that one heats up and one doesn't. Despite the fact that all these devices look like they're cookie cutters, there are changes made during production. In fact, an earlier phone might well have more problems than a later phone because Samsung would say, oh, gee, we noticed this one's heating up a little bit. Let's put a little extra thermal paste on that sucker or whatever. They might even change the actual hardware a little bit. And you can't tell. It all looks the same. But the other thing, very important for both phones, you need to do immediately is go into settings and do a factory reset.
Okay.
Because you don't, I mean, You got these phones from a stranger.
Right. Yeah, I did it on the second phone I got. I did the factory reset on the second one, but not on the first one.
Yeah,
So
do it on.
I don't even-
Well, there you go. I mean, the first one's overheating. I wonder, that spyware that they left on there probably takes up a lot of heat as it sends your passwords back to them.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Never, ever, ever, ever. You get a new computer. See, sometimes people go, oh, look, it came with free software. You get a new computer, you get a new phone, which is a new computer. If anything with storage, you got to wipe it. You got to start from scratch.
If I have, just like contacts and stuff, when I do a factory reset, doesn't it erase everything you have?
Well, when you go into that setting, you'll see back up my stuff to Google as a checkbox. And even a back it up now thing. That will your contacts are syncing to Google on Android devices.
Right.
So you can erase the phone and it will resync. In fact, it'll even download the apps and everything again. But you really probably want to wipe that and start over. And I would uncheck the box that says when you start over, download all of my apps. You don't want to re-download anything. You set it up as your own. But it's not, which is not to say this will fix the problem. It could just be that the phones have physical differences. But it's certainly a big differentiator right now is there's two different versions of the operating system. There's different applications. So I would try to wipe that first, that overheating phone, and see if that fixes it.
Okay.
And do not reinstall the software that was on it. Start from scratch. Go to the Google Play Store, install the stuff that you like. You should also make sure you run both the software updates on both phones to get them as up to date as you can. That's a pretty old phone. I don't know what the latest version of the software is available for it. Samsung's kind of notorious for not updating their phones. But by the way, the S3 was one of the best Galaxy phones ever made. I really liked it. So.
I know, and that's why I don't get the 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10. It just my husband has the new one, the brand new one.
Talk about heating. Talk about overheating. The Galaxy S6 gets so hot.
It does.
Yeah.
He's had nothing but problems with it.
Yeah, it's nothing.
So.
It's not. Phones do get hot because nowadays we much faster processors. But in the era of the Galaxy S3, all those years ago, 2 years ago, they shouldn't get too hot.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome. But yeah, most importantly, and boy, what a important lesson for everybody. If you're buying stuff on eBay, wipe it clean. You don't know who you got that from. You're inheriting issues from other people, and you could even have. It's not likely, but you could even have somebody malicious putting something on there that you don't want. So that's one of the nice things. There's a factory reset. You go into settings, you go down, and it's the backup and reset item. And do the backup first. That way all your settings will be backed up. Actually, I would, if it were me, being the security expert in the left-hand column of that chart, I would not back up anything. I would wipe it clean, especially the minute you get it. Same thing with a new computer. A lot of people say, oh, look, it comes with Windows XP and Microsoft Office. It's all on here. I can't wipe it. You wipe it, please. That's a false economy. Oh, I saved money. No, you didn't. Wipe it. 8888 Ask Leo. Guess who's coming up? Scott Wilkinson, our home theater guru, with some tips on big screen TVs and surround sound and all of that. And the phone number is 8888 Ask Leo, and the website techguylabs.com. Do remember that, because I put actually I shouldn't say I. James DeRuvo is sitting here right now, scribbling everything I say down. He puts it up there. We then put up, after the show, audio and video from the show. We divide it in question by question. We add additional material, and if you have comments or thoughts or suggestions, you can add those there too. TechGuyLabs.com. Home theater coming up next. In a way, it's one of the reasons I think mobile phones are a little safer, is because you can do that. You just go whoosh, and it all reinstalls the operating system. And, we're learning from mobile phones a little bit about how operating systems are to be. Look at what they're doing with Windows 10 now. They're really kind of moving to that model where it's free update and it's automatic updates, and you don't have a choice if you install it. I got to install Windows 10 here. I forgot. I want to have it for today's show. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. That bump to bump means it's time to time for Scotty Wilkinson. What did you say? You said some sort of beatnik thing. You're hip to zip with the flip?
I'm hip like a zip. Let's take a trip.
Okay, Daddy-O.
That actually comes from Firesign Theater, I believe.
I love Firesign Theater.
I do, too.
That shows how old we are.
Yeah, I know.
So, real quickly, you saw the movie Pixels. I heard it got terrible reviews on Rotten Tomatoes.
And so bad, it's like at 19% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Do you agree?
Actually, I enjoyed it. Now, it could have been appealing to my inner nerd.
Yeah, because it's all about video games come to life,
It's all about
right?
video games from the 80s.
Yeah, pixelated.
And the graphics are gorgeous. And the reason I went to see it, really, is that it was in this thing called high dynamic range, Dolby Vision. And it looked gorgeous. I mean, amazing.
See that now how many HDR theaters are there? They're not very many.
There's like 5, I think, currently in the US and several in Europe.
Oh man.
I know there aren't very many. Dolby's trying to roll more out, and there are 4 titles coming out. There already have been 3. San Andreas, Tomorrowland, and Inside Out. Now Pixels. Next, Mission Impossible, which that could be really good.
Is it HDR? Is it like 3D where you could after the fact make a movie HDR, or do you have to shoot it in that?
No, you have to shoot it in HDR and then prepare it or grade it, as they call it, in HDR.
Is it digital or film?
Digital.
Okay.
All digital.
Okay.
And this was a combination, this Pixels movie is a combination of CGI, computer-generated imagery.
Right. Those are the little games, yeah.
Those are the games, yeah, and live action. And, it's an Adam Sandler movie, and I'm not a big Adam Sandler
Say
fan.
no more.
He's playing the same character as he always does.
Yeah.
But the high dynamic range imagery, man, I can't wait for more theaters to have this capability because it's really stunning. It's just beautiful. After that movie, it was in a multiplex, and I snuck into one of the regular theaters to watch the same movie, and it just looked dull and dim by comparison. It just wasn't very good. So, I will go and see almost any movie in high dynamic range just to experience that because it's so good.
That tells you something. Even Pixels.
Even Pixels.
I want to see it, but I want to see, but there's no, the theaters are.
There's no theater in San Francisco in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
No, I'm afraid not. Not even in Dolby's office, which I asked them about that because I want to get you down to Dolby's office.
Yeah, I've been to the Dolby offices. They're down there in San Francisco, and there's no HDR.
They've got screening
Atmos
rooms and everything.
I bet they have Atmos.
Yep, they do. And this movie was in Atmos as well. And that was fantastic as well. But they don't even have an HDR system in their screening room in their office. So I hope they get one because I want you to go see it.
Is this going to be in every theater eventually?
Oh, eventually, no. I mean, I suppose if you're talking 10, 20 years down the line, maybe.
Yeah.
But just like, well, it may be true because now in movie theaters, I think well over 90% are digital as opposed to film projection.
How do they shoot? Do they have to? I mean, I know with 3D they have 2 cameras. How do they shoot HDR? I'm looking right now on Wikipedia. If you search for high dynamic range, they have a video in HDR, which just looks like an HDR picture. You know how they look kind of oversaturated?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's not what you're talking about.
You're looking at it on a standard dynamic range monitor.
Oh.
And so they have to do something called tone mapping, which takes the wide dynamic range, the difference between black and white, and compresses it down in an intelligent way, but still you're not seeing it in true high dynamic range. That's the key. The key is to shoot it in high dynamic range, which most digital movie cameras now can do pretty easily. But then grade it in HDR, prepare what's called the digital cinema package or DCP, the file that the movie is in, prepare that, grade that for HDR, and then play it on an HDR-capable projector. And if you follow all those 3 steps, you will see a picture that is just amazing.
See, that's interesting. So normally in HDR still photography, you don't need a special monitor to see it. It just looks the way it is. But you're saying You want to have a special projector and screen to do this.
Well, the screen doesn't matter, but the
projector does.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
Or a flat panel TV if you're at home. And Samsung now makes 3, I think, different lines of high dynamic range displays. They call them SUHD, and they don't define what the S stands for, but
Super.
Super duper.
Super.
Yeah, exactly.
Or Samsung. So
Samsung.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've talked about this before. I'm waiting for UHD, official UHD displays to come out. And it sounds like I'll be getting SUHD, which is the high dynamic range.
Well,
UHD.
UHD displays are out now. They've been out for a couple of years.
But they're not. They're not
high dynamic range.
They're not official.
Yeah, they are.
Isn't there a standard? Wasn't the SUHD all about a standard that was going to be?
Well, there is being developed a standard for high dynamic range. Yes, but
Not for UHD.
No, UHD can be
It's just
all
the number of
UHD
pixels.
has to be is the number of pixels.
Okay.
Exactly. And I've always been
I thought there was a new
complaining.
color space and.
Well, there can be.
Yeah.
The UHD Blu-ray disc, which is coming up by the end of this year, probably. I hope.
Yeah.
We'll certainly see it at CES. Has the capability of holding a bigger color space, higher dynamic range, as well as all those extra pixels.
Okay.
But those have not been defined yet, well defined yet. They're working on it, but it's still a bit of a work in progress. So Samsung's the only one that's come to market with true high dynamic range displays. And I have to tell you, I've seen those with high dynamic range graded content. And again, it's just stunning. It's just you look at that and you go, wow.
Yeah.
So
I'm I think disadvantaged because I'm comparing it to high dynamic range in still photography.
and it's different.
And
it's
it's
a
different.
different thing.
It's not.
Yes.
It's the same idea.
I mean, it is. The
but
larger
tone
difference
mapping,
between
which is what you
yeah.
mostly see in still photography, has
Yep.
kind of a painterly look.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
And this is
I
not.
would-
This is naturalistic.
This is very natural looking.
Yeah.
I would compare that painterly look to the soap opera effect of frame interpolation.
Right.
Because you're adding something or distorting the original image in some way.
Right.
So that's definitely something to keep in mind. But if you do live near a Dolby Cinema where they have high dynamic range, and there are 5 in the country, there's one in Kansas City, there's one in Houston, there's two here in LA actually, and one in Atlanta, Georgia. Look for it and go see it because I think you'll be amazed.
Yeah. Hey, we have about a minute left, but I had a caller last week ask me about sound bars.
Oh yeah.
And I said, well, I know we talk about them, and it really has more to do with making it easy to set up and not having wires around the house. But there's nothing to compare to a true 5.1, 5 speakers with a subwoofer sound system.
That's true. I agree.
Okay.
I agree. It's certainly sound bars. I think the main reason for having a sound bar is that it improves the
Convenience.
sound of the TV.
Yeah.
Well, convenience, yes, but you could just use the TV's own speakers for the ultimate inconvenience. But
It's somewhere in between.
I'd say don't.
Yeah. Well, nowadays especially, I think TV manufacturers figure if you're getting an HD TV, you're going to have your own sound system. So
Yeah,
we're going to
yeah.
do the least possible.
Yeah, Sony is the one bucking that trend.
Oh,
with
are they?
They're high end. They've got really nice speakers
Oh,
on the
good.
side.
Oh, that's
But
nice.
they're not detachable.
Right. So
if you
there's
don't like
stereo at best.
Yeah, well, yeah, or pseudos around. Simulated.
Scott Wilkinson, you'll find him at AVS Forum. He's the editor-in-chief there, avsforum.com. And on our Home Theater Geeks podcast every week, twit.tv/HTG. We'll see you next week. Thanks, Scott.
You bet.
Which sound bar did you like? Was this the Andrew Jones one?
Oh, the Andrew Jones one, absolutely.
Yeah, that's Pioneer,
It's-
right?
Pioneer,
Yeah.
correct.
And that's not expensive.
No, well, it's not cheap. I think it's on the order of $400.
And includes a sub or no?
yeah, it does include a wireless sub even.
Yeah, see, that's not so bad.
I love Web 3995's comment. HDR for pixels? That's like putting caviar on a hot dog. It's still a hot dog. And that's exactly the same thing I thought as well. It's like, why are they treating this stupid movie with this wonderful new technology? The picture came from Sony Pictures, and they obviously have a lot invested in the latest technology. So, okay, they put it on this stupid movie. I got to tell you though, I actually enjoyed the movie. I mean, I read the reviews before I went even, and I said, oh, this is going to be just such a dog. But I want to see the HDR. That's what I really went to see. And I found myself laughing many times at stupid jokes. It, you know, it appealed to my inner tween nerd, which these guys are. I mean, when this movie starts with them as tweens, and they're in 1982, and they're playing a video game championship with Dan Aykroyd as the MC. He was pretty funny. And then they grow up and shows what their life is like when they've grown up, but when these aliens attack with these video game characters. Kevin James as the president of the United States, give me a break. But still and all, I'm not an Adam Sandler fan, but I enjoyed the movie, and the high dynamic range looked amazing. In the theater, first of all, it was brighter than you see in most theaters, but perhaps more importantly, it was darker. The blacks got into so black that in the black, what's called a black interstitial, which is just a full black screen between things, the screen completely disappeared. I mean, it was as if the projector was off. Now, you don't see that in normal movie theaters. You just don't. And that provides the foundation, the background on which the picture is painted. And the picture just has so much more pop. It's really beautiful. Logan 5 Pixels, a thumbs up or thumbs down. On the movie itself, I'd have to give it a thumb sideways. I didn't think it was as horrible as the reviews said, but it's certainly no great cinema, that's for sure. Hey, Sybil, good to see you. And don't press the red button, whatever you do. The Sue the Writer, I'll have to wait till after the next segment.
Drowning you out to signal the end.
Thank you so very much.
See you at the top?
You bet.
Thanks. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. So Wednesday's the big day. You ready? Just sign up. Windows 10. It's coming Wednesday, whether you like it or not. No, I think. Well, I'm curious. How are you going to do it? Did you get that little icon that pops up in your system tray that says reserve your copy of Windows 10? If you did, presumably sometime in the next few days, the bits will start swooping down onto your computer. I'm just looking at mine because I signed up for it. It was kind of annoying, though. You know, that it's hard to get rid of that little icon. You have to resort to some trickery. And if you click on the icon, it basically looks like it's popping up an ad. I think a lot of people thought it was malware. It's not. It's official. It's from Microsoft. And the funny thing is, even though I clicked the button and reserved Windows 10, when I click it now, it still shows me an ad that says, get Windows 10 for free. I did. Knock it off. Reserve your free copy now. I did. You'd think it would understand. Microsoft, come on. Yeah, and then if you have to know enough to click the hamburger, that's that little weird 3-line icon in the upper left, and then view confirmation, and then you can see, oh yeah, my upgrade is reserved. There's nothing you need to do right now. You'll get a notification on your PC when the Windows 10 is ready to install, and you can't cancel it if you get cold feet. From everybody who's been playing with it, because Microsoft really let millions of people try before they released it. It's a reliable, worthy upgrade. There's still a lot of questions. Like, well, because we always recommend a clean install when you do an operating system. Remember, I was talking about the phone, the Galaxy S3. It's always a good idea to wipe and start over when you're doing a new operating system. I'd like to do that with Windows 10, can I? Unknown. Microsoft kind of tweets, yeah, but they don't. The tweet neglects to say how. Well, I'm sure find out on Wednesday. Windows 10, you getting it? What should you do to prepare for it? Well, if you have Windows 7 or 8 right now on a machine, almost certainly you should have that little icon that says reserve your copy. That's all you have to do. It will download, and then it'll ask you before it installs, and you say, yes, I'd like to install it. Your application should remain. One of the things that little icon does is check your hardware and software to make sure it's compatible. In fact, the only time I think that people aren't getting that reserve your copy today icon, the little ad in the lower right-hand corner, is if they don't, in fact, have compatible hardware. It's kind of nice they're giving it away. A couple of things to keep in mind. Once you install Windows 10, you can roll back, I'm told. Again, we don't know how, but I believe you can roll back. But the other story is you will have to, from then on, automatically take updates. I don't think that's inappropriate. Most people will want these updates. Remember, we talked about that being the #1 thing you can do to keep your system secure. So I don't see that as a disadvantage. They say you'll be able to defer the update for a little while. So if you want to wait and see if others did the update and it was safe and compatible, which is probably prudent, you can do that for a few days and then update. Somebody in the chat room, Marsworm, says, I'm waiting for 10.1. Yeah, a lot of that isn't bad advice, especially if you need that computer for work, if it's vital to you. You know, upgrading an operating system is always a little challenging. So it wouldn't be a bad idea to wait and see. Which version of Windows 10 will you get? Well, it's a kind of a parallel upgrade to whatever version of Windows 7 or 8 you have. If you have Home, you'll get Home. If you get Pro, you'll get Pro. It's kind of hard to figure out because it's not a one-to-one mapping, but you'll get an appropriate version. Anyway, we'll watch with interest. See what happens. I played with Windows 10 quite a bit during the beta, and I liked it. I felt like it answered a lot of issues that I had with Windows 8 and 8.1. I've always thought, and if you're in this camp, I think you'll be happy. I've always thought Windows 7 was the best version of Windows, and that Microsoft kind of blew it with Windows 8. They kind of came back a little bit with Windows 8.1. Windows 10 finishes that, giving you the start menu. Every version of Windows since the time began has had a start menu, except for Windows 8. Now they're bringing it back. Things like that. 8888 ask Leo, if you have a question about Windows 10 or the upgrade, you can call. But we will know more on Wednesday, won't we? And I'm sure we'll spend a lot of time next week talking about what went wrong. Casey, Los Angeles, you're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo, I've got a question for you. I've got a router with 4 ports. I love the router, and 2 of those ports are dedicated to my solar panel and to my phone, to my Uma phone.
Okay.
So my other 2 computers are wired into the router, but I've got more computers and printers that I want to wire into the router, and there's not enough ports, and I can't go wireless.
Right. So what you need is a little extender or switch. And you can buy these. They're cheap. You know, the simplest ones aren't even switches. They're just additional ports. You plug in to one port on your router, and then you can get 10 more ports. They're all equal. It's kind of a extender. A switch. Sometimes you'll see these called a switch. A switch has some circuitry in there. It's a little bit smarter. You probably don't need that. Just an extender.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Great.
And you can buy any brand because it's just a mechanical extender. That's one of the nice things about Ethernet, which is the networking capability that we're using here, is you can just add a lot of ports to it. It doesn't really make any difference. You know, and the reason switches exist is because after a certain number of ports, your network can kind of get a little sluggish. So a switch kind of breaks it down into segments. And traffic is routed to individual segments instead of, as it is now, sent everywhere. The little bits on the Ethernet just go to every computer till one of them says, yeah, that's for me. Zachary is in Big Bear, California. Hi, Zachary.
Hey, Leo. Thanks for taking the call.
Thanks for calling. Are there bears in Big Bear?
No.
No. Don't. That's crazy talk.
I haven't seen one yet.
Good. I hope that continues. What can I do? Actually, bears are cute as long as there's some giant bars between you and them. What can I do for you?
My dad's buying me a new desktop.
Dad, rock on.
And I want to make sure that he buys one that'll support my photography and my gaming.
Nice. Well, gaming is the most demanding. thing that you do on a personal computer. Not Minecraft so much. Even World of Warcraft's not too bad. But the modern games that are tough, like Crysis, Far Cry, Witcher, these things require a lot of horsepower. What games do you play?
World of Warcraft is the main one.
Yeah. Because it's been around for a while, it's not too demanding. But, the better the computer you have, the higher resolution the screen, the more you'll see, the higher the frame rate, the more vivid it'll be. So, and by the way, anything you buy that will work for a game will work fine for photography. The only thing additional that you'd want for a machine that's being used for photography is storage. And that you can add with external drives as well as internal drives. It doesn't have to be. In fact, there are some advantages to using an external drive. So, yeah, I mean, what is Dad's budget? Has he told you?
No.
Are you going to get to tell him?
Like 400, 500, that range.
Yeah. You should be able to get a pretty nice computer for World of Warcraft. You'll want an i5. In that price range, you'll probably be getting an i5 processor. That's fine. What programs do you use for your photography?
I haven't really gotten that far. I just started.
Nice. Yeah. So is he going to get you a camera too?
I already have one.
That's where
I took it.
Forget computers. The cameras are really where you spend money. So good. You got a nice camera. You can use Google's Picasa or their Photos, their online Photos app. That's actually pretty capable and a good start point. Eventually, as you get more serious, you'll probably want to get an Adobe program called Lightroom. And and there's actually a good deal on Lightroom. And it comes with Photoshop for $10 a month. That's the Adobe Creative Cloud for photographers. But that you can wait on that. But eventually you might want to do that, $10 a month. In fact, there's a deal right now. If you get a Flickr Pro, Flickr has brought back the Flickr Pro subscription. If you buy the Flickr Pro subscription for $50 a year, you get $8 a month. Still not saving you as much as you're spending, but you get Flickr Pro for like half price by doing that. And $8 a month for the Adobe subscription. But yeah, i5, get 8 gigs of RAM, 16 if you can afford it, 256 to 512 gig hard drive, solid state drive, then you're set. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Here we go. Scott Wilkinson is still here. Woohoo! Woohoo! And I'm going to put the little timer up for you.
Thank you very much.
And you will have 494 seconds. 493 seconds.
Look at that.
Have fun.
489 ringy dingy, 488 ringy dingy. Hey, everybody in the chat room. I have 480 seconds to talk with you, which I always love to do. So if you got any questions, and by the way, this coming Thursday on Home Theater Geeks, it's all chat room questions all hour long. So give me your questions now, but also tune in to Home Theater Geeks, Thursday, 2 to 3 p.m. Pacific, 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And post your questions there. I'll be with Mark Henninger, my colleague at AVS Forum. He's the senior writer there and has a lot of experience with a lot of things. So it should be a fun hour. Hey, Youper, good to see you. Eliz, any high-def movies coming to SF Bay Area? I assume you mean high dynamic range because all movies are high def. Unfortunately, not that I know of. And this is very odd because Dolby is based in San Francisco. And why they don't push to have a Dolby Cinema there in the Bay Area, I don't know. I mean, they've got to deal with AMC. And all of the Dolby Cinema locations that have high dynamic range, what's called Dolby Vision, are AMC prime theaters. If you live in a town with an AMC theater, it'll be a multiplex probably, you know, the Burbank 16, the Century City 15, whatever. One of those theaters, one of those auditoriums is probably called Prime or ETX. And that's like their super duper special whoop-de-doo theater within the multiplex. And they are converting those at some slower than I'd like rate to Dolby Cinemas, which include Dolby Vision, high dynamic range, and Dolby Atmos immersive sound. And so it's really up to AMC, really, to be installing these things. Now, again, AMC is based, I think, in Kansas City, which is why there's one there and another one coming up pretty soon. But Dolby is in San Francisco, and they are obviously integrally involved. So why they don't insist upon putting one in San Francisco, I don't know. I mean, it'll come eventually, but I know of no plan. It's not like it's going to be this year. So I'm bummed about that. Logan 5, are normal movie theaters still using carbon arc projectors, or did they replace those with halogen lamps? Actually, the most common type of lamp, as far as I know, is called xenon. I don't think it's carbon arc. Carbon arc is a pretty old technology, but there might be an arc in there. I don't know exactly how they work, but they're not halogen. They are xenon. Let's see. Good news. Did I get to Walt Disney Hall to see the John Williams tribute this past year? No, I didn't. I didn't even know there was one, but I love John Williams music, so I wish I had known about that. I probably would have gone. Battlecam, what's your opinion of the Onkyo 646? It's their brand new receiver. Generally speaking, I really like Onkyo receivers, and I'm sure the 646 is fine. I haven't had a chance to play with it or hear it myself. I do know that they're coming out with a new high-end receiver. I think it's the RX 700 and 800, I think, with some pretty fancy circuitry and stuff like that, which I'm actually really looking forward to. The 646 is undoubtedly, a more modestly priced. I think the 700 is the RX 700 is in the $1,200 range, something like that. So the 646 is, I'm sure, well under $1,000, maybe closer to 500. And I'm sure it's good. Although I recently saw a story about how Onkyo acknowledged that they did have some problems and customers were returning products with defects more often than they would like, but they acknowledged it. So I have to give them credit for that. Amy Ashi is still rocking the LG 50-inch plasma, waiting for 4K to become standardized and tested before upgrading. Good idea. As long as your plasma is working and not having any problems, I generally, unless you're an early adopter, I generally recommend waiting until this high dynamic range and color gamut stuff gets worked out. Especially since what I've seen on the Samsung high dynamic range display, wow, with the right content, and that's key. You can have a high dynamic range display, but if you feed it standard dynamic range content, it's going to look virtually the same, as at least if you have it set up properly. But if you feed it high dynamic range material content that was graded that way, created that way, man, oh man, that is a quantum leap in picture quality. It really is. And I've seen it, and I can tell you it really is. I'm blown away. Which is why I go out to the movies, even to see stupid movies like Pixels, because it's in high dynamic range, and I really want to study how it looks. Now, I've heard a number of people say on AVS forum that, well, it's the movies are only getting to 100 nits peak brightness, which is what we have now in our home theaters, and that's true. But you don't have a 60-foot screen in your home theater. And seeing that kind of dynamic range on this huge, ginormous screen is really something. Really something. Rusty Bones, sorry, I want to try and get in order here. Got a lot of questions and only 115 seconds left. What's the latest on the DTS-X format? How does it compare side by side with Atmos? Well, you can't really compare them side by side because the speaker layouts are a little different. Although DTS says that they don't really specify a speaker placement, but all the demos I've seen put the speakers kind of up at 45 degrees, not directly overhead as Atmos does. So that's what I have to say about that. How do you correctly calibrate an LED monitor with a colorimeter that's been profiled for that LED monitor? $100+ conventional headphones recommendation. I don't know that much about headphones. Go to innerfidelity.com or headfi.org, and you will see lots of recommendations for headphones. Let's see. Yes, Xenon. What else can I see here? What do you recommend the audio receiver, Jim Four says? Many good choices. Denon, Pioneer, Marantz, Yamaha. They're all really good. Yes, Untoward. Onkyo has taken great care of their customers that reported issues with their HDMI boards. So
Thank you,
I have
Scotty.
to commend them for that. My pleasure, Leo. See you next week.
Take care.
Wow, that was a nice photo.
Yeah, it's not mine. I wish it were. It's just a desktop. It's like
it's the Golden Pavilion in Kyoto.
There you go.
I've been there. I've seen it.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. See you later. Thank you.
You bet. Bye-bye.
Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, Windows 10, and all that jazz. 8888, ask Leo if you've got a question, a comment, a suggestion. 888-827-5536. Windows 10 coming Wednesday. Want to get ready for Windows 10? Tip number 1, make your recovery disk. Now, this would be a good time to do it over the weekend, especially if you've accepted the invitation to install Windows 10 automatically. While you've got Windows 7 or 8 running, make a recovery disk. In Windows 8, it's easy. It's built right in. You just need an 8, in my case, an 8 gigabyte USB drive. You might need a little bit bigger one, but it'll tell you how big it has to be. And I'm making it right now. That way, if something goes wrong with the Windows 10 install, or you decide I don't like it, you can go right back. It's a recovery disk for your current version of Windows. So make that now, in other words, before you install Windows 10. And that's a good advice in general. You probably should also back up everything in case something really goes wrong and all your data gets damaged. What if the boot partition is a mess, that kind of thing. You might want to back up everything. That's always good advice when there's a new operating system. Back to the phones. Walt, Playa Vista, California. Hi, Walt.
Oh, hi.
Hey. What can I do for you?
I want to thank Heather for taking my call. And
she's the greatest.
Yes. I have a problem. I think this might be a result of CNET and me accidentally pushing the wrong...
download.com, man.
Yeah. Anyway, I've got a problem with something called Mac Keeper. And I tried to delete it. I got rid of it, I thought, and then it keeps asking me to reload.
Yeah, Mac Keeper is a system utility, and it's interesting. They asked to advertise. I think they asked to advertise on the show. And I asked around because I thought, I don't know if you need this or not. The idea is they call it 911 for your Mac. That's a cleaner and so forth.
Yeah.
I referred to my friend Rene Ritchie and his publication imore.com, and he said, "Well, read the article that we published in January, what Mac Keeper is and why you should avoid it, and then decide."
Yeah.
So
I want to avoid it.
It was created by a company called Zeobit, but it was sold a couple of years ago to a company called Chrome Tech. And I think that might be where the issue began. In any event, you can read the article. Peter Cohen, who is a very reliable reporter, talks about the issue. And he also mentions what you've experienced, which is uninstalling Mac Keeper doesn't get rid of all of it.
Yeah.
You'll find traces, he says, in your system library folder. You want to search for the word Zeobit, Zeobit, the original developer, or Mac Keeper by name, and you'll find those files.
Okay.
You probably can just delete them. There really is some question whether it's malicious or just badly written. And I'm gonna err on the side of badly written and a developer, a new owner, Chrome Tech, that really doesn't want you to delete it ever.
Yeah. Well, something else has popped up. I don't know whether it's connected, and I try to get rid of it as soon as it pops up again. It starts off with a title. It's FOOTI and something else.
Okay.
And it kind of locks up my browser. And
yeah, so that's probably a browser toolbar. The good news is on a Mac, it's pretty hard for bad guys to mess it up.
Yeah.
And it's almost always possible to remove anything that you have installed. So MacKeeper, as I said, just, you know, the little tidbits that are left, just go search for ZeoBit or MacKeeper, and you can just delete those files. They'll be in the application support folders, places like that. The footy thing, I don't know what that is, but I'm going to guess that that's a browser extension.
Well, it started off with I'll click on something to open it, and this will pop up and say the site you just clicked on entered some spyware on your computer.
Yeah, that's not nice. That may come from MacKeeper. Apparently, MacKeeper does have a habit of giving you those kinds of warnings. Does it advertise MacKeeper?
No.
What does it say to do?
It says download
something.
Something, yeah. I try to get rid of it as soon as possible.
Yeah. Well, your instincts are very good. So again, it's going to take a little searching through your system folder. It's probably in the browser extensions. It probably is. It only happens in your browser, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would look in Safari's browser extensions folder. Safari, I think, as I remember, has a way to look at that directly in the menus.
Okay.
So that's what you want to look at. And there'll be something in there that you don't like. And it's safe to delete anything that's in there because none of those come with Safari. That's all stuff installed after the fact. Deleting it isn't even necessary. Drag it to the desktop and see what happens. See if footy goes away.
Okay.
And if it did, then you know you got it. The good news is it's unlikely that anything is going to cause a problem. If you're worried, first of all, one of the things that Apple does that's great now, and it's turned on by default, but it won't let you run software that doesn't have a certificate, that the developer isn't fully identified. And that should be well, it depends what version. Are you on a really old Mac?
Oh, no.
Yeah, you're running Yosemite or Mavericks?
No.
What version of the OS are you running?
Oh.
Pretty old?
No, it's the latest.
Oh, good. Yosemite. All right. Then you should have no trouble at all because in the security settings, there's a checkbox that says allow apps downloaded from. You'll find this in the security section of the system preferences. And the default is Mac App Store. Those are safe because that's Apple approved. And identified developers. No spyware, nothing really malicious will ever have an identifying certificate that's legit.
Okay.
So if you have that box checked, or if you're comfortable just saying only the Mac App Store, you're great. That means those apps will not install unless you override it, and you have to actually explicitly override it to do that. That'll protect you from now on. Apple also pushes out anti-malware software. They've really gotten very good at locking down the OS. So I feel like even though you obviously have some stuff on there, if you were a Windows user, I might say, oh, now you got to reinstall Windows because you don't know what's on there. On a Mac, it's less of a concern. I just would find those things that are causing that behavior and delete them.
Sounds good.
All right. But it's good you had the spidey sense that something was wrong. This is not right. And you shouldn't, when you click on a link and it says, this is spyware, that's wrong. Now, they can do that. They get away with that because Google and Microsoft, and maybe Apple too, will warn you if you try to go to a site that has been infected. So, and the browser will do that, and that's legit. It'll give you a warning saying, before you go on, you should know that our scans show that this site has malware on it. The reason they do that, it's really a great service that the browsers provide, is that one of the ways bad guys have been able to get on computers is find websites that haven't kept their software up to date, that aren't secure themselves, hack them so that when you go to the website, and sometimes these are legit websites, they install stuff on your system or try to. And I've had that happen to us. Our website, not the Tech Guy Labs, but another website I have, had that problem because we had an old PHP module that wasn't up to date. bad guy got some stuff on there. And thank you, Google, because Google said, don't go to this site. And as soon as we found out about that, we were able to find the malware and remove it. So do pay attention to those warnings that come from Microsoft, Google, and Apple. Those are legit. These other ones, not so much. Footy? Really? Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. Moving on to Paul in San Bernardino, California, listening to the great KFI. Hey, Paul.
Hey, how you doing? Thank you very much for taking my call, Leo.
Thanks for calling.
I just wanted to ask you real quickly. My problem is remembering all my passwords. I heard you talking about certain applications or programs that could generate these passwords for you. I was very interested.
Strongly recommend. They're called password wallets.
Okay.
And so the idea, the best password is random. And the more random and longer, the better. So a 20-character or more password composed of upper and lowercase letters, numbers, and punctuation, completely random composed. No, that's not brute forceable. That's a good password. The other thing is, of course, use it once and once only. So each site, because sites, as you know, get hacked. And one of the first things that happens when the password databases get hacked is people will try that password for your email against other things. What they're really trying to get is your email account. If they can get into your Gmail or your Yahoo Mail, that's gold, because, of course, all the password resets get sent there.
To the email.
You know, once your email is compromised, you really have problems. So use a good, strong, long password. But the problem with a good, strong, long password, it's not memorable.
Exactly. And that's where my problem is.
Yeah.
Another question I had is, using these password wallets, as you say, what happens if that gets compromised?
Then you're really in trouble.
On your computer.
Yeah. Then you're really in trouble. So that's why choosing your password wallet is important, to choose carefully.
Because so that is a vulnerability.
Absolutely. It's what we call, it's what security experts call a single point of failure. So you want, what you ideally want is a password wallet that is encrypted with a password that only you know. And you're going to, now that password you do have to memorize or write down, and you'll be entering it fairly frequently. You know, it's nice on the iPhone, the Samsung Galaxy S6 phones that support fingerprint readers. You can often use your fingerprint to unlock those. That's nice.
Yeah.
That gives you added security. You need the password and a fingerprint. So, yes, you need to trust it. And this, the one I use and trust, there are others, is LastPass. And the reason is LastPass encrypts your passwords in a ball that they can't read. And then we know, because they've been hacked, that the password database itself is stored in a way that's so appropriate, so well done, that there's really little to fear even from them getting hacked. In other words, they don't have access. Only you do.
Interesting.
Now, for a password wallet to work, to be functionally useful, ideally it is stored in the cloud. And that's, of course, the risk. If your password wallet is only stored locally on a USB key or something, that's much less of a risk. It's encrypted. It's stored in the USB key. Somebody would have to get the USB key and then figure out how to unencrypt it. That's pretty safe. When you store it in the cloud, there's an advantage. And LastPass does this because I can then install LastPass on all my phones, on my computers, and my passwords are always available to me. But that's more risky, because that password database, that very critical, valuable piece of information, is now stored out there on the internet. But I do trust LastPass, and man, they have everything. My social security numbers, my passports, all my passwords, everything that I consider super important. I consider it like a safety deposit box at a bank. It's like that, you know, and I trust them. Now, they're free. If you want to use it on your mobile device, it's $1 a month, $12 a year. The guy who does it is really smart, and our security guy, Steve Gibson, he does a security show on my podcast network, and is really great. He has looked at all the password wallets, and he says that many are good, but LastPass is the one he uses and recommends as well. So that's good enough for me.
Perfect.
LastPass.com.
One last question.
Yeah.
Before I go here, what about USB-C? I want to get a new laptop, and I don't know if I should wait for USB-C to become more prevalent.
I love USB-C, but it's going to be a while before it's prevalent. Right now, there's only 2 laptops that use it. One's from Google, one's from Apple. Even Apple hasn't converted all their laptops yet to a USB-C, but that's going to be the new connector, I'm convinced. OnePlus, that does what I considered the phone of the year last year, the OnePlus One. Their new one's coming out, OnePlus 2. It's going to be USB-C. In fact, Google, I think, has already, I think they've said all phones will eventually be USB-C. It is a great connector for many reasons. Unlike current USB, it's reversible. You can put it in either way and both sides work. I love that. It also is a fast, much faster data. So it's faster even than USB 3. It's really lickety-split, 10 gigabits per second. It also supports charging up to 100 watts. That's why laptop chargers can use it. The Apple's done an interesting thing with it by putting it on the MacBook. They use that not only for charging in and out. You can charge your phone that way, but also for data and video and everything. It's such a capable port that they use it for everything. It's the only connector.
That's why I should wait or get a new one.
Well, that's a good question. I wouldn't wait at this point. I don't see evidence that there's a mass migration to USB-C. I think it's going to take us a couple of years. It's a couple of years off, I think.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Hey, thanks for the call. Yeah, LastPass, awesome. Highly recommend it. If you really want to protect LastPass, and I do this, use two-factor authentication. LastPass, the password alone is not enough. You'll also have to enter a 6-digit number from an authenticator, and that's now we're talking. I feel fairly confident, even though, man, when you think of it, every password, every bit of like super vital information that I have, I store in LastPass. But that's because I trust it. I mean, where else are you going to put it? What are you going to do? You're going to put it in a notebook and put it in a safe deposit box? Well, that's fine, but it's inaccessible. You have to go to the bank to read your notebook. If you put it in your desk drawer, it's not encrypted. Somebody can get it, and then they got everything. Storing in your head, we already know is a recipe for disaster. What are you going to do? Put it on Post-its? What are you going to do? So there's no perfect system. I think LastPass is as close as it comes. I trust it, and I feel like I am not at risk. And boy, so much to the point that I stopped using Evernote and OneNote and these other notebook programs for things like Social Security numbers, airline frequent flyer numbers and stuff. I store it all in LastPass now because I feel like it's all safe. The one weak point, of course, is you and your password to get into LastPass. That's the one you're going to make long, random, but memorize. You have a little homework. Now, I cheat. I make a password that's long and looks random, but I can reconstruct. You can use poetry, song lyrics, lines from books. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. And then instead of the words, just use the first letter of each word. Capital I, W, T, B, O, T, comma. Maybe add, I like to do this, your old locker combination, your childhood phone number, your zip code when you were 4. Those kinds of extra numbers make it extra hard to crack. And those are things you remember. So that's the one password you really want to memorize because you're going to be entering it a lot. 8888 Ask Leo. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More of your calls coming up. Award-winning Johnny Jett is here. He's our travel guru. Many, many travel awards. You're becoming, I'm so proud of you, the premier travel guy online. You're the guy. Johnny Jett.
I don't know about that, but I'm your guy.
Well, that's what counts. JohnnyJet.com, that's a website. You can sign up for his free travel newsletter, and there are lots of good articles on there. He always has fun contests. You also can follow him on Twitter @JohnnyJet or Instagram @JohnnyJet.
And I have good deals, which, by the way, American Airlines has some crazy deals going on right now. Round trip LA to Florida, Orlando, Fort Lauderdale, Miami for $185 to $205 round trip.
What?
New York, $210 round trip. You got to stop in Dallas on all these, but still, I'm actually.
That's their hub, isn't it? That's American's hub.
That's one of their major hubs,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking about doing a status run because mileage runs are kind of out these days. So now people do status runs, where they retain their status, so they get free upgrades and all that stuff. And I want to get to the ultra high level. You need 100,000 actual.
So you just
miles
fly
in that
somewhere
airline.
just so you get ultra?
I will.
Yeah.
I mean,
wow.
I usually spend a night or a week or whatever. I don't travel. I don't like to fly like a
Yeah, you
madman.
go
like,
somewhere.
one of my buddies was just written up in Rolling Stones magazines this week, and I mean, he makes me look like a couch potato, and I have no desire to do.
No,
what he does.
I don't think you can physically spend more time on the road.
Oh no, he doesn't even have a home.
He doesn't have a home?
I have many friends who don't have homes. They just travel.
Wow. I would like to do that. After getting off this wonderful Uniworld River cruise, I was so relaxed. And then the stress came back. You know, I came to work and it was like the world on my shoulders again. And I thought I would like someday to just ride around on a boat.
Hey, it's cheaper actually than going to a senior citizen home.
I don't think that's true. That's that old.
It is true.
That's an anecdote. There's some
all
story
your food is
floating
paid
around
for.
that a little old lady found out that it would be cheaper just to stay on a cruise for the rest of her life than go to a nursing home. And
Well,
there's
it
a
wouldn't be
doctor
cheaper
on
to be
board.
on a Uniworld cruise, but it would be cheaper on like a Carnival or something. That's not as
You
high.
kids, keep it down! Darn disco's going all hours of the day and night.
Yeah.
No, actually, it'd be
All
fun.
right,
There's activities. You see things. So I thought maybe when I retire, a crystal round-the-world cruise. Only 4 months. What do you think?
You know, I just went to a Crystal event. I'm in New York right now.
What do you think of Crystal? Are they good?
I've never been on Crystal, but they had a press event and they just came out with they bought their own airline. They bought their own 787. They're going to do Crystal Air. They're going into the river cruise business. They're having 2 river cruises built, which is going to be supposedly the swankest, they say. And they have other cruises, and they're going real high end. And these guys have a lot of talk. And
wow,
we'll see.
Sounds cool.
Yeah,
sounds cool. So so put in a good word for me. It's only $150,000 each.
Well,
I guess I'll probably work until I'm 90 to do this.
Their customers have big money.
It's fancy. You know what? You know who told me, Crystal? Bill Handel, the guy on KFI, the morning man on KFI, says, "Oh yeah, Leo, go Crystal. It's the greatest." Yeah, now I know why. I saw the price tag on that. I need a morning show in Los Angeles. So every week, Johnny joins us. He's got a tip. He's got a website and he's got an app. Fire when ready, Mr. Jet.
All right. So here's a new website that just came out. It's called Quest Organizer.
Okay.
So I actually just tweeted it to you. So the website is Quest, QUESTORGANIZER.com.
Your spelling is excellent, Johnny.
Thank you.
Yes.
So what I like about this site is, I have search engines on my website and I always use it for the flight tools and stuff, but I only have one-way and round trips, and I can't do multi-cities. And a lot of times I'm trying to do multi-cities. So then I usually go to like Kayak or ITA, but these guys actually not only will it do like a multi-city, but the best part about it is you just put in where you're going, and it will tell you where you can get a free layover.
Oh.
So you do see it, SFO. The only problem with this website, it's new. These guys don't have a lot of money, I don't think, but it's a little slow.
I'm gonna go on my birthday.
You put it in, it will show you, it'll give you different options and say, hey,
I can
there you go.
So I put San Francisco to Venice, Italy, and they're suggesting, you could stop in Stockholm, Sweden on the way.
Or New York or Paris.
Or Malaga. Oh, or Toronto.
Or Toronto, which is
I can visit your wife.
Yeah, for sure. But a lot of people don't realize, you can get a free stopover on these trips.
These are, but now sorted by lowest price. So the cheapest would be Stockholm, and let's add a week in Stockholm. Okay, good. And then it's going to look for flights. This is pretty cool.
I bet you it's going to put on Norwegian since it's saying Stockholm.
So I go to Stockholm, then to Marco Polo Airport, but I get an extra week in Stockholm. That's kind of an interesting combination. $601.
What airline?
SAS.
Oh, it's SAS.
Nice airline. So I go SFO to Stockholm on my birthday.
Look at that price, $601.
Yeah. That's got to be one way. But still, who cares? That's a good deal. A little bit more, I could go United. Or, if I want to get exotic, Turkish Airlines.
Hey, go through
SAS, I like SAS. That's a nice airline. So I'm going SAS.
Turkish Airlines is really good.
Is it fancy?
Exploding. It's Turkish or exploding? I mean,
I think the word airline and exploding, you shouldn't use those in the same sentence. It's not good. It's growing rapidly. Is that a better way to say it?
Yes, growing rapidly.
So this is the return flight. Oh, that's cool. And the return flight's only $100. So for $700.
No,
I get it.
No.
These are per leg. I get it.
Yes, so they actually should have been included.
Oh, well, that's all right. This is not bad. So the first leg to Stockholm was 600. Then the Stockholm to Venice is 121. This is still SAS. This is not bad. This is cool. All right. That's a nice, I like that site. It's called questorganizer.com. Now, what's your app?
So I got an app for you. This one you're going to really like. It's called Mile High, H-I. So M-I-L-E-H-I.
This make me nervous now. What does it do here?
No, people think it's for hooking up in the sky.
Yes.
Which it's not for hooking up. It's for meeting up, they say. So it was founded by this married UK businessman who's got a lot of money. Seems like I read an article.
Yeah.
And he was like, so if you're in the gate area, you connect to this, see if there's anyone else who are like-minded people in the gate area, and see if you want to switch seats, sit next to them. You can either do business together.
That's actually a great idea.
Or do something else.
Because I got, I'm a traveler who puts in his headphones before the person sits down next to me, and I pretend to be sleeping and drunk. Because I don't want to. But if I had somebody interesting to talk to, that might be different.
Yeah.
Mile High. And it's on Android and iOS.
Yeah, exactly. It's what I was about to say. So,
Johnny,
that's pretty cool.
And you're in New York right now?
No, actually, I'm in Saratoga Springs. I just arrived.
Oh.
Saratoga, New York, not Springs. Sorry, Saratoga Springs, California.
And what are you doing in Saratoga?
Oh, actually, I think Saratoga Springs is here, too.
Yeah.
I am here because my dad loves the racetrack.
Oh, yeah.
So we are going. I've taken him to
that's a classic.
Saratoga Racetrack.
That's
just
a classic.
Opened up. And we're staying at one of their nicest hotels.
You should do a little racetrack tour with your dad, and end it in Dubai. And the sheiks, the Emirati, they have races in the desert sands of their beautiful Arabian horses. You go out, you got to drive out of town for a little while, and you can watch the horse races.
I would love it.
Betting millions of dollars.
He would love it.
Yeah.
Who's on the bed, by the way?
Thank you, Johnny. Johnny Jet, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More calls right after this. Poor Dad. He's resting. Leave him alone.
I know he's got busy. We're about to go. He's about to go lose all his money. So
the Saratoga's had a racetrack for years. You're saying they have a new one now?
No. Sorry, it's not new at all.
The
reason why
that's one of the classic racetracks.
Is because he and my mom used to come for their anniversary every year, and after my mom passed away, he hasn't been. So I was like, I will take you.
Is he a little teary? Is it a little nostalgic?
He was when he walked into the hotel.
Oh. Which hotel are you at?
The Gidneam Putnam.
And they would stay here?
This is where they used to stay.
Oh, I'm gonna cry. How long ago did your mom pass?
Unfortunately, it was 2000, so 15 years ago.
Dad must be little. You know what? He's lucky. He's got great kids who just take good care of him, especially you.
Well, I try.
You treat your dad so well.
Hey.
My son's going to put me in some low-rent nursing home and never visit. I know.
Maybe we'll put you on a cruise around the world.
Here, Dad. Here's your carnival. Go ahead. Have a good time. You're on my shuffleboard. All the kids are dancing on my shuffleboard.
I need to make a lot of money so I can put my dad on Crystal around the world.
Oh, wouldn't that be awesome? I think 150 is like the top. I think you can go for like 30. It's 4 months, though. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Hey, I honestly do have a friend who does do that once in a while.
Oh, I'd weigh 400 pounds.
He's an older guy.
Back.
He'll go 3 months.
Roll off the ship.
Yeah, he's not heavy at all. He works out, and he's in his 70s.
You know, if you're on one of those things, you gotta learn. In fact, it's easy to eat healthily because there's such a variety of food. And as long as you're not tempted by the baked Alaska and stuff, you can.
I don't have the willpower. I have.
I did on the river cruise. I was like the first few days, and I thought I'm gonna die. So I stopped eating desserts. I stopped having 8-course breakfasts, that kind of thing.
See,
just a little scrambled eggs.
You're a good man.
No sausage, no bacon. No, the croissants are what killed me. They had a really good. They had the Uniworld had 2 pastry chefs for 91 people. 2. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Nathan Staten, our musical director, master of the turntable. Hey, Nathan, just a tip. Heather's going to see Culture Club tonight. So if you got any Boy George, next break, he's going to take care of you, Heather. Put you in the mood. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. We're talking high tech. I'm making a recovery drive. Okay, that's good. On my Windows 8 computer. That's the first thing everybody should do. It backs up the recovery partition because if you're going to install Windows 10 on Wednesday, it'll put Windows 10 in the recovery part. It didn't leave the old recovery part. Everything's going to be Windows 10. I think. Well, see, we don't know because they do, I think, say you can roll it back. So maybe they're going to keep the old Windows 8 and Windows 10. But best thing, strongly recommend you make a little USB key. It's built into Windows 8. You say make a recovery drive. And then that way, if the Windows 10 thing goes poorly or you don't like it, you can always go back to Windows 8. Back up all your data, too. We're getting ready for Wednesday. The new Windows is here. Maybe the last Windows in some ways, you know. That's the thinking now, is that they'll just kind of push out updates and there won't be a big Windows release ever again. The world is changing. 8888 Ask Leo. Eric is in Hollywood, California. Hello, Eric.
Hi, thank you. I know this isn't a high-tech question, but if you could help me, I'd appreciate it. I've got, there's free Wi-Fi from where I live. Unfortunately, I'm in the back of a main house, so kind of a cottage area, and the Wi-Fi, by the time it hits me, is very weak. And I don't have access to the router. That's the problem. I know I could just say, here's a better router, or I'll hook up something at the router. But in my problem, I need to have some sort of repeater or extender that I can put on the outside of my little place to make the signal stronger or better. Is there anything out there that you would suggest?
Well, remember, Wi-Fi is two-way. So you want to boost both transmission and reception. You don't have access to the transmitter, so you can't boost half of it. You can make a better antenna for your receiver, and I think that probably solved the problem. How far off are you from the access point?
Well, not far at all, probably about 40 or 50
Good.
feet.
So
And
it's just stuff in the way that's causing the problems, most likely.
Well, if I walk out the back door towards the house, right there I got 3 or 4 bars. But if I go inside, I have 1 bar.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So you don't have access to the access point. So a repeater, which is what one would normally do, or sometimes they call them extenders, would normally be the best choice. But you can't, because it needs to join the original, and you need to have a password and all that. And if the person who runs that isn't going to give you that information, it's not going to work. So you need what we need is an improved Wi-Fi antenna. Now it's a little tricky because in their infinite wisdom, when Wi-Fi was designed, the standard setters said every Wi-Fi access point should have a different connector, which is goofy, but you need to get one that works with your Wi-Fi access point. It's in your computer probably.
Right. I work on a large laptop every day.
So
I like
that's another issue, is that you really can't, in most cases, open up the computer and get to the little play. So inside the computer, there is an antenna, and it's attached to the circuitry that does the Wi-Fi. What you would like to do is remove the connector and put an external antenna out there. Sometimes you can do that. Failing that, you can buy a USB Wi-Fi adapter that replaces the internal one, and that's the one that you would add the better antenna to. In any event, it is specific enough to your hardware that I'm going to recommend a website, which is radiolabs.com. And that's what they do. They help you extend Wi-Fi by putting a directional antenna on your existing system. And that helps because it's really pretty much all you can do. You can't use a Wi-Fi extender if you don't have access to the main access point.
Right. A quick question on that, because I've had my laptop apart several times and down to the motherboard to clean out the vent, the fan, and the cooling system, and that doesn't scare me. Ripping one.
Well, you might, and again, this is going to be specific to your hardware, so you might open it up and see if you can get in there. If you can get to a removable antenna, you can get to the dongle and unscrew it. It's also a little unsightly. We've done this before. You have to drill a hole in the laptop case to get the wire out of it, right?
Right.
But you might be able to do that. So you need to do a little research on your particular laptop, see what kind of dongle it needs, And if you have access to it, and then you can unscrew it, and you'll see they have a variety of Wi-Fi range boosters that are kind of unilateral, your side only, and that's exactly what you want. There's ceiling mount, there's wireless antennas that you put on your desktop. There's some you could put out your window. That's probably what I would do if I were you. So but that's a little inconvenient because then your laptop has to be wired.
Right, State.
Right.
I guess my question is, if I could be so bold as say the USB Wi-Fi adapter, it would be equal in its quality,
yeah, and it might even be sufficient because now the antenna is no longer in the lid of your laptop; it's outside. That might be enough. And some of them have a little bit of a wire, so you can aim the antenna or move it around. And frankly, the way RF works, it's kind of a black art. And sometimes just moving a thing a little bit, you've already noticed that by going outside, you can improve it. So it might be just having an external a USB Wi-Fi adapter, and they're cheap. They're $50, and it will not be worse than what you've got. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Radiolab sells those too. You can also buy them on Amazon and anywhere. They're very straightforward. You'll disable your internal antenna, and you'll use the external one. Heath in Clayton, Georgia is coming up next. He wants an app that will help him block calls from people he doesn't know. Heath, Clayton, Georgia, you got a great question. Hi, Heath.
Hey, how's it going, Leo?
It's going great. How are you?
I am just wonderful. By the way, I know you get tired of hearing this, but Heather is the bomb.
Yeah. She's so great. I stole her from Dr. Dean Adele.
Well,
I put him on a round-the-world cruise. He's still not back. And you can't have Heather back, Dean.
That's right. That's right. Well, you should keep her. And by the way, she part of my question, she actually came up with an even better answer to my question, which is obviously I get a lot of phone calls throughout the day. I've got an iPhone 6, and I'm just wondering if there is an app or something inside the iPhone 6. I know you can block individual calls, but I'd love to set it up where the call wouldn't even ring through if it's not in my contact list. And
wouldn't that be great?
Oh, man, yeah. And what Heather said was, instead of it not going through altogether, just have it go straight to voicemail. And I thought that was a great idea, too.
Or if it's a robocall, have it go, doo-doo-doo. I'm sorry, this number has been disconnected or is out of service.
That would be awesome.
Whoa, wouldn't that be cool?
It so would be cool. And I just thought between you and maybe the chat room that somebody could come up with something.
I can help you, but the thing that you would really like, your iPhone phone number and an app, I don't know of a way to do this. I'll explain what the issues are. Some of it's FCC, some of it's Apple, but I will also give you some solutions. But it will require using a different number most of the time. I'll explain how that, I'll explain how that works. When we come back, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, anything with a chip in it. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number, 888-827-5536, toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. But many people listen on the internet, and if you're outside those areas, you can still call using Skype. It's a toll-free number, so it shouldn't cost you anything on Skype out. That's 8888 Ask Leo. So, Wednesday, Windows 10 comes out. I'm installing a preview version on my Dell right now. If you were in the Windows Insider program and you got the update to Windows 10 10240, you have the same version that everybody else is going to get on Wednesday. So I'm hoping to do that on this machine so I can have a little bit of an early jump on Windows 10. Microsoft's allowed more than 1 million people to be part of this Windows Insider program. As far as I know, there was no limit to the number of people using it. So many people have been banging on Windows 10 for some months, which may be one of the reasons it seems to have come out early. For a long time, Microsoft was saying it'll be fall 2015, and, well, here it is, middle of summer. So maybe that's because of the beta program. I don't know. Before the break, we were talking to Heath. He's in Clayton, Georgia. He had a very reasonable question. How do I, on my iPhone, block calls from people I don't know? Now, it wouldn't really be the iPhone doing this probably. It would probably be the carrier doing it. And until recently, the FCC did not allow carriers to do that. And to my knowledge, none of the main carriers in the U.S., you're AT&T, but none of them do that yet. Wouldn't that be nice, though, if, for instance, because they know more about the call than you do. Not only do they see the caller ID, but they probably know a little bit about whether it's a marketing, a marketer, a telephone solicitor, a robocall. They probably have more information than you have, certainly before the call came in. I'd like to just be able to block robocalls as we get into the campaign season. Wouldn't that be nice?
Amen.
Yeah. We live in California, so because California is not really in play, we don't get the robocalls that the swing states get. But if you live in Ohio, I don't know what Georgia's probably in play.
It is.
Yeah, so you're gonna get a lot of calls. Florida, a lot of calls from everybody involved.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out if there's a way. It sounds like there might not be.
There's not a way that I know of that you could do on your iPhone, like put an app on your iPhone that'll do that.
Yeah.
For several reasons. One, Apple does not allow alternate dialer apps or alternate phone apps. That's just not allowed. Apple says, no, we make that. And that's part of the Apple philosophy, the iPhone philosophy is keeping other stuff off. Android, there may well be. In fact, there are a number of Android apps. One comes from Facebook. It's called, I think, Hello, that let you pre-screen calls. And Facebook will look it up and see if it's in your Facebook friends and might give you some call handling. But that's on Android, not on the iPhone. Google, now, if you're willing not to give it, and this is my recommendation, stop using your real number. I did this a long time ago because I got Google Voice. Now, Google Voice will let you do just exactly what you described. And it's a free service from Google. Don't know what the future holds for Google Voice because and there's some question in my mind about that. And I'll tell you why that is in a little bit. But what Google Voice will do is it'll let you have your contacts on Google. You'll get a new number, a free number. You can choose that number. I chose a vanity number. Or you could just, choose something in your own area code or whatever. It's just kind of like getting a number from the phone company, but it's through Google. That's the number you'll give friends and family. Then you set up Google Voice to call your iPhone. But the other advantage of it is it can call up to 5 different phones. So you can have it call your home phone, your iPhone. I use it because I have many phones. I'm always testing new phones. And you can have it do different responses to different people in your contact list. So if it's, you can have a family group, and in the family group it says, hey, it's great to hear from you. I love you. Hey. And if it's a friends group, nice, thanks for calling. And if it's the enemies group, go away. You can even have it drop calls that are from our unknown callers. You can have screening. So it turns on and it says, well, you can talk to Heath, but first, who are you? And they'll say, I'm Leo. And then, Heath, your phone will ring. You'll pick up, and it'll say, I'm Leo is calling. If you'd like to pick up, press 1. And that gives you the chance to send a voicemail or hang up on them. So that's all free, and that's pretty nice.
Well, I'll have to try that. By the way, I want to thank you so much for Ham Nation. I mean,
you're a ham, too. There's ham everywhere.
Hey, and by the way, in your honor, November 4, Tango Whiskey Tango.
Ah, I like it. W6 Tango Whiskey Tango. That's nice.
All right,
That's
Leo.
nice.
Thank you so much. I'm good on QRZ. And, by the way, one more thing. I'm only a general now. When I upgrade to my extra, instead of going to Dayton, which is, Mecca for ham radio operators, my wife, my beautiful, lovely wife, said I get to come to Petaluma and get a picture with the Fez.
Good. You can sit down with my transmitter and get it working.
All right. Thanks a bunch, Leo. I really appreciate all your help.
Thanks, Heath. 7-3. Take care. Bye-bye. Oh, that is a real fraternity, the amateur radio operators of the world, and it's a growing fraternity. You wouldn't think. But in fact, I think partly because of the interest in technology, these analog technologies like ham radio, and by the way, there are some digital technologies involved now too, are becoming more popular. Isn't that interesting? It's a great way to make friends discover the world and help out your community. Hams are very active in times of emergency. So yeah, we have a little show we do every Thursday on the network, or is it Friday? Every Thursday on the network called Ham Nation. Twit.tv/HN. Google Voice is just one of many companies that do this kind of screening. This has become a very popular category. The reason I'm worried about Google Voice is Google just started a new cell service Like Sprint and Verizon, they've gotten into the cell business. They call it Project Fi, F-I. Yeah, right now it's invite only. You have to go to fi.google.com and then request an invitation, and they've been very slow to go out. There's some other serious limitations. For instance, it only works with one phone, Google's own Nexus 6 phone, which, while is a nice Android phone, may not be the best Android phone, and it's gigantic. It's 6 inches. So I happen to have one, and I use Google Fi. But one of the choices you have with Google Fi is to give up your Google Voice number and let Fi take it over, because it's a number that Google owns. Even though it's your number, it is a number that Google owns. And it worries me a little bit that maybe Google is thinking of other purposes for Google Voice, which would be a shame. Fortunately, there are other services, not free, that let you do some very sophisticated phone handling. I just joined one. This is for hardcore geeks. This is not something I probably would recommend to anybody who doesn't want kind of the ultimate in phone handling. It's called Anveo, A-N-V-E-O. You pay as you go. You do have to pay for a number. You pay for a lot of services. But it has this kind of programmable interface where you drag and drop things. So you can literally say, okay, if this number calls or anybody with this last name calls, I want them to get this number has been disconnected or is out of service message. You can have voicemail. You can have faxing. It's incredibly sophisticated. And each thing costs $1 or whatever. It doesn't seem too expensive. I'll let you know. But it's very sophisticated handling. And so, and again, this is the key with all of this, is that you'll have a special number. That's the number you give out. And then you use the specialized call handling in Google Voice or Anveo and many others like this to decide what to do when somebody calls that number, and if you want that call to be passed along to your own phone. It's kind of a way to kind of hide your actual phone number and give out a number. And one of the things you can do is say, hey, if I don't know this person, if they're not on my contact list, don't put them through. Send them right to voicemail. And I think that's what Heath was looking for. 8888 Ask Leo. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More of your calls still to come. Stay right here. Yeah, that's basically what happens, Sybil, is Google's now made my Google Fi number be my Google Voice number. So I've got a better number now, frankly. I have a number that is so good, but I don't want to tell you. But it's really memorable. But now I have to configure this Anveo thing to make it work. So it's nice because it integrates with your Google Contacts, so you can use that categorization. So I was just worried about Google Voice going away, so I signed up for Anveo after doing some research. There's a lot of these. Yeah, yeah. Well, the advantage of this is I can use whatever carrier or service I want. Yes. And then I still give out. It's like having a vanity email address. You give out that, and then you can do the other stuff. I got such a good number. I wish I could tell you. So good. You could text me. Well, once I get this Anveo set up, then I can give it out with impunity, because then I could say, well, if I don't recognize the number, send it to voicemail or send them a text or say it's been disconnected, or, I mean, it's much, once I have this all set up, but right now I don't have it set up, it's just going to ring my phone if I give it out. Actually, I'm not even sure it rings my phone. I don't even know what it does right now. It's not set up to do anything. Heather Hammond, you think they'll play this song?
Gee, I hope. I just don't know.
You go see these groups, and they play a lot of stuff you never heard of, and then the encore, they play Comma, 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 Chameleon. And Boy George put his hat on and his muumuu, and he'll dance around.
Yeah.
But up to that point, it'll be stuff you never heard of, probably, right? Unless you're like, are you a massive fan? You have all their albums?
Well, they have a new record, and that's what concerns me. Yeah, because I just want to hear the 80s stuff.
You're right. Who did I see? I think it was the Bangles. And, you wade through, I mean, I love the Bangles, but you wade through because they have a few hits. There's Manic Monday.
Yeah.
And, of course, Walk Like an Egyptian. But what's the encore going to be? Manic Monday and Walk Like an Egyptian. And the rest is going to be stuff you never heard. But that's okay, because I like the Bangles. And
the deep cuts are great.
the deep cuts, that's what they call it.
Going down to Liverpool.
See, you know the
You
Bangles.
loved that
I
song.
like Susanna Hoff, that's all. I just stare at her the whole time. She's so pretty. I think that's probably why they threw me out before the encore. Never did hear Walk Like an Egyptian. All right, back to the phones we go before I reveal more secrets. Caroline in Glendora, California. Hi, Caroline.
Hi, Leo. This is a senior citizen who loves your program.
Bless you. I love you back.
All right. Thank you. I purchased the Ring doorbell.
Our advertiser. Good.
Yes, and it will ring on my phone, but it takes forever to show the video or who's at the door. But meanwhile, it seems to be trying to connect to my digital hearing aids. No.
Well, you probably... Now, is the digital hearing aid attached to the phone?
Yes.
Aha. So it's trying to play the ring into your ear.
Yes, but see, the hearing aids are on Bluetooth, and Ring doorbell informed me that it does not operate through Bluetooth.
Well, it doesn't. It uses Wi-Fi to get to your phone. By the way, that's why sometimes the video start is slow, because you've got to go out to the public internet, start the Wi-Fi, and then you get the picture. I found that within 10 seconds, I'm able to see who's at the doorbell. That's usually enough. You find people are wandering off before you get to the doorbell?
Sure.
Well, that's not good. That's probably a function of the Wi-Fi and the internet and all of that. But yes, it doesn't support Bluetooth itself. That's how it connects to. It uses Wi-Fi to connect to the phone. But the phone supports Bluetooth, and the phone says to itself, "I want to play audio." And of course, if I'm going to play audio to Caroline, I'm going to play it through the hearing aid.
That's what happens.
So your doorbell's going ding dong in your ear.
No, not. It's just trying to find it. It doesn't really.
Oh, that's
and
interesting.
there's no audio. I can't. The people at the door cannot hear me yet.
Oh, there's something wrong then. Yeah.
Well, we have tested when I called Ring Support, we've tested the microphones, and they seem to work. But
how do you when you make a phone call on your phone, do you use the phone's microphone?
I do, and it comes through on audio on my hearing aid.
And it comes through on so the hearing aid is just like a Bluetooth headset.
I'm listening to you through my hearing aids.
Yeah, that's great.
It is.
Yeah. By the way, I'll be doing that any minute now because I have been listening to headphones my whole life, which means my hearing is degrading rapidly.
Oh, well, it'll sound just like that, I guess.
That's awesome. So you have the Bluetooth hearing aids. The microphone, I wonder if the phone's confused and thinks that your hearing aid has a microphone.
Let's see. Thinks that the hearing aid, well, maybe. Now, there's a microphone on the video when it does come out.
Yeah, see, so the way a Bluetooth headset would work...
Should I turn that off?
Well, let me think about this. So the way a Bluetooth headset would work... Those have microphones and earpieces. So the phone, when you pair it with a Bluetooth headset, says, I'm not going to use my microphone anymore. I'll use the microphone on the headset. And I'm wondering if it's confused by the hearing aid, thinking it's a Bluetooth headset. I'm sure it is. And, well, if that's the case, it must have its own microphone.
Okay.
So if you had a normal Bluetooth, for instance, I have my Amazon Echo, and it can be set up as a Bluetooth speaker, but you don't want to use it as the microphone. Well, maybe you would want to use it as a microphone. Then I could talk to the doorbell that way.
Should I turn them? Well, then if I turn the mic off on the doorbell app.
Well, no, you don't want to do that. What you want to do is... And I suspect what you need to do is talk to the hearing aid manufacturer, get support from them. Because what you want to do is tell the phone, send the audio to the hearing aid, but there's no microphone on the hearing aid. Get your audio from the microphone on the phone. There might even be a setting in the software to do that.
Oh,
You see what I'm saying?
That could be.
Yeah, it's
Yes,
thinking
well,
that it thinks the hearing aids have a microphone, which they don't.
No.
Yeah. So that's why it's not a ring issue. It's really a phone/hearing aid issue.
Well, I just thought I should hear the doorbell, and I should answer it if it all come up without my hearing
You
aid.
should hear the doorbell, and you are, which is good.
Well, I do get the notification, but that's all. No audio.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I think we got to look at. I think the hearing aid company is the one you should talk to. This will not be the only issue that this comes up with. A lot of, if you pair Bluetooth has different profiles for different kinds of hardware. If you have a profile for the headset, that will assume the microphone is also in the headset. So you have to pair the hearing aid as an audio-only device, as a headphone, not as a headset.
Well, would you believe I could pair it with my phone, but not with my iPad? It wouldn't do both. So maybe it is the hearing aid.
Yeah, there's a way to do this, and I think the hearing aid company could walk you through it, where you say, no, that's not a headset. Those are speakers only. And we know we can do this because, of course, there are plenty of audio devices that are speakers only and don't have microphones, and the phone continues to work with those. So,
okay, well, that's my next step then. All right.
Yeah, and I wish I could be more specific in how to do this, but I don't know. The headphone company, the hearing aid company will know because this will come up a lot.
Yeah, okay. Well, you've answered more than some other people could that I've asked.
Yeah, I think that's the... Now, when you get a phone call, can you use the phone and talk to it?
Sure. I'm talking into the phone.
Oh, you're doing it right now. Of course you are.
Yes, and listening through the hearing aids. And I can turn that off and on. I can turn it to audio or speaker.
Well, now, see, that means the hearing aid is properly paired with your phone, that the phone is clear that the hearing aid is for audio out, not audio in.
Yes, that's right.
So now I'm thinking maybe I didn't give you the right advice. Who makes the hearing aid?
It's a Beltone.
Beltone, okay, one of the big names. Let me do a little research for you, Caroline, and we have to take a break anyway. Keep listening, and if I can find some answers for you, I will let you know right after the break.
Oh, thank you much. I will keep
Thank you, Caroline. All right.
Thank you.
Take care. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We're a little bit stumped. I've been talking to the chat room and so forth, and we're a little bit stumped. I looked at the Ring software. Our caller, Carolyn, has a Ring doorbell, which is awesome, and I use it. And I should issue the disclaimer, they are an advertiser. You install this doorbell, it has a camera built into it, and it has an app for iOS and Android. When somebody rings the doorbell, the phone or the tablet rings, and you can even look at the camera, see who's at the door, and talk to them. There's a button that says accept, and then you can press a microphone button and say, hey, what do you want? Get away from there. You kids. But she's having trouble because she has a kind of an unusual setup with her phone. She's using some Beltone hearing aids so that she can hear better on the phone, which is a great idea. The phone uses the phone's microphone when she talks on it. In fact, she was talking to it on the phone, talking to us on the phone. But she's hearing the doorbell ring, but she's not able to talk back to it. And I'm not sure. She says she called Ring and they weren't able to help her. And after that, I'm just not sure where to go next. I guess Beltone, the hearing aid manufacturer, might be some help there. But I'm not really sure what's going on. It's a little bit of an unusual setup. So I just don't know. I'm able to answer the door, and it's great, and it works even when I'm at work. I can say, hey, go away. Or more often, just leave that on the front porch, will you? Beth in Temecula, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo.
Hey, Beth.
I need to do some shopping, and I need some advice. I'm sending my daughter off to college, and she needs a laptop.
Awesome.
And she, like I guess most teenagers, loves all things Apple.
Yep. That's where Apple was smart. That iPhone's really been a great halo device for them. Yep.
Yeah. But Mommy doesn't make Macintosh money.
The Macintosh is the high price spread, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So I need to find something in the like $600 range, maybe 600 max that will work for her. She's not going into any kind of video production. Her major will be communications.
Ah, excellent.
So,
well, first of all, you've got to talk her into this notion that, sorry, you ain't getting a Mac.
We've done that. I made
okay.
that. I said, you know what? You can get money toward a Mac, and then you can
pay the rest. There you go.
Or wait until you get your degree and a good job and buy your own.
Does she have a computer now?
She uses my really ancient desktop.
So she's used to Windows.
Yeah, she's used to it, but she also, we do have an iPad in the house, and she's an iPhone user.
Yeah.
And she used her friend's MacBook.
Yeah. Apple's got its hooks into her.
Yeah.
Well, the cheapest Mac at this point, a MacBook Air, is about $999.
Yeah.
So if that really, by the way, there's a reason why Apples are more expensive. Several reasons. One is they're comparable to the same quality Windows computer. Microsoft Surface Pro, for instance, sells for around, with keyboard, $1,200 to $1,300. So they're it's not that they're outrageously priced. Some of that price is, of course, because they provide better support. Some of that is because they use higher quality components, and some of it is the Apple brand is a premium brand. It's like buying a BMW. And so it's a mixture of things. If you were to get a pro, high-end computer, it would be roughly the same cost as a MacBook, maybe a little bit less. But there are lots of PCs in your price range. I think probably for you, I would look at the new Surface 3 from Microsoft. Those start at $499. They're kind of a hybrid. I think they'd be a good choice for a student of a tablet and Windows computer.
Okay.
You're going to need to get the type keyboard with it. That's an additional $129 because that's how you type. And as a student, I think she needs a keyboard.
Yes.
Now, you could go to the refurbish shop at Apple, the outlet, and get it down to maybe $750. So I don't know if that's still...
You think it's maybe worth talking to Grandma?
Yeah, see if Grandma kicks some in.
This Apple.
And tell your daughter, okay, no problem. Get $200. Yeah. I think there's an advantage, frankly. I think there's an advantage to getting her the computer she wants. Right? Because otherwise she's going to go,
She's the only one I have, so she'll be taking care of me in my advanced age.
My son tells me that all the time. He says, you better be nice to me. I'm picking your nursing home.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, nice. So, but I think that if you go to the Apple... first of all, there's going to be education pricing. You should talk to the school, by the way.
Yeah, that's true. I know about that.
And they usually have 10%, I think, for students.
Yeah.
You may get an even bigger discount if you go to the Apple refurb store. If you just search, and make sure it's the Apple one. You just search for outlet and Apple. And what happens is they sell computers. People take them home. They open the box. And they go, oh, yeah, no. And they bring it back. And, oh, I see. And they bring it back. I'm sorry, I was distracted for a moment. And Apple can't sell it as new. California state law won't let them do that. So they sell it as refurb. And that usually means they take a few $100 off. But they're just as good as new, the full warranty and everything.
Oh, okay.
So that's a possibility. But if not, there are excellent Windows machines in the $600 price, $600 price range. They're excellent choices.
Yeah. Well, I think my daughter is going to be very pleased that I called you because
I'm going to push you, nudge you a little bit in her direction.
Yeah.
You really, when you get a Mac, you're getting a computer that's going to last all 4 years.
Yeah.
You really are.
Yeah.
A cheap PC is cheap, but it's, what do they give up? Well, for you, A, you don't get any support, and B, they use cheaper components. There's also an Apple Store for education. If you search for that on Google, you'll be able to find that.
Okay.
I would say if you can scrape together $800, $900, it's probably worth it.
Yeah. Okay.
But if not, Surface 3, it's great from the Microsoft Store.
Okay.
Thanks for the call. I appreciate it. Yeah, and there are other companies, Acer, Asus, Dell, all make excellent notebooks. But I'm looking, for instance, I have the Dell XPS 13, just a really great 13-inch notebook. It was $1,400. The quality stuff is all not so much cheaper. And I think in some ways PC manufacturers are doing customers a disservice. HP with their Stream PC, which is $200. They're really kind of setting you up. Remember the netbook fiasco? People were buying computers, netbook computers, for just a few $100, but they were junk. And they ended up, in closets gathering dust because you just couldn't use them. The keyboards were terrible. The trackpads were terrible. The screens were terrible. HP Stream, $299, $200, 99, a little bit more. Those are great little computers for the price, and that's the clause that that gets you, for the price. I certainly wouldn't say don't get it, and if you can't afford anything else, that's not a bad choice. It's better than a netbook. But if your daughter wants a Mac, boy, it's hard to make a case that you should give her a Windows PC. She's gonna hate you. 8888 Ask Leo. If am I wrong? Call me and tell me. Chew me out. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. The Asus Transformer is a good choice. I like those 2-in-1s. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Jack in Los Angeles. Hey, Jack.
Hi.
Hey.
I'm trying to find a way to safely secure a thumb drive with a password.
Okay. Certainly there are password-protected thumb drives like Iron Key that will do that for you. They all do it in the same way. They run some auto-run software. But now, if you want to take a thumb drive you already own and password protect it, you can just encrypt it.
But then do I have to save it to the thumb drive and then drag the file into the encrypted folder? I don't want to have to do that. I want to be able to have it function like a thumb drive. Just after I've entered the password, it opens it up so it functions like a thumb drive.
Yeah, like File Vault would do with a mounted file system.
And so there is software like that?
Yeah, Windows actually, it's called BitLocker, not File Vault. That's the Mac thing. I think if you just use the built-in Windows encryption, it should do that. So right-click on the thumb drive, see if you have an encrypt option. Otherwise, you can use TrueCrypt, which will encrypt the thumb drive, and then when you log in, will unencrypt it.
Okay, that's what so TrueCrypt would be the one to do?
Yeah, or Microsoft's own BitLocker, which is built into Windows.
Okay, sounds great.
All right. Dick DeBartolo is here, Mad Magazine's maddest writer. We call him the Gizwiz because each and every week he brings us a fun gizmo or gadget. Hello, Dickie D. How are you today?
How you doing?
I'm very well. How's the weather in Disneyland?
The weather is very good. Very boating weather.
It was kind of hot for a while, wasn't it?
Yeah, hot and humid, but like the past couple days, really nice.
Good.
So, on the warm side, but humidity was way down.
Well, it is, July in New York.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, is it July out there too? I always get the time.
I know. Sometimes, it's not. But right now, yes.
You're 3 days earlier than us, right?
I think that's I always forget. I can never remember. Yeah. It's Sunday right now. No,
exactly.
It's Tuesday. Exactly. I can never remember. Tuesday. What do you got for us, Dickie D?
I have something that's kind of fun. The levitating lamp.
Just start with the word levitating. I'm happy already.
Yeah, I know. So there was one of those Christmas in July things, and one of the vendors at the show was Hemmeke Schlemmer, and they were showing the levitating lamp. So it's an LED lamp. It has 9 LEDs, 3 shine down on the chrome base, makes that look good. 6 shine up into the shade. Now, the shade has a magnet in it, and the base has electromagnetic coils in it that repels the shade just enough. It says, get away. No, come back. Get away. Come back. And the shade is so confused, it hangs over the lamp 3 inches in the air. So it's a great conversation piece.
How do it work?
How do it work is that the magnets in the base keep repelling and then attracting the magnet in the shade.
Oh, it's kind of like my previous marriages.
Yes, exactly.
Yes,
exactly.
Yeah, now I
Except
understand how it works.
Yeah,
yes.
But this does it 10,000 times a second, and I think he was slower than that.
But close.
Close, yeah. And so not only does it keep the shade 3 inches above the base, but the shade slowly rotates, and there's a swirl pattern painted on the shade.
Is it a major award?
Is it a major award?
You know what I'm talking about? No, you don't. You remember from there was the woman's leg with the tasseled. See now
yes,
that I would like.
Yes.
So it's at Hammacher Schlemmer. What do I search for? Levitating lamp?
Just go to gizwiz.biz and click on Tech Guide.
Oh, that's easy enough.
How convenient could that be?
How much?
$150.
Hey, for a levitating lamp.
A levitating lamp. You can levitate forever. LEDs never replace the bulb.
Oh, it's LEDs even.
All LEDs.
You know, it's interesting how everyone's going LED.
Oh, absolutely. You know, we're doing all LED streetlights now. The problem is they're so bright. In my apartment at night, I see the stoplight down the corner.
Oh, see, that's really smart.
Yeah.
Because they don't have to change those for...
No, ever. Yeah.
I got some LED lamps in the house, and I told Lisa, I'll be dead before you have to change these bulbs.
Well,
that
we're
did
not going
not
to put that
thrill
to the test. No.
I was surprised. I thought that she would say, oh, that's good news.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But no.
Okay.
Yeah. No, because they're like 20 years, right?
Yeah. The great thing especially is like for old people who have bulbs that are way up.
Yeah,
well,
I don't want to get on a ladder.
No. You're not old yet. No.
Well, but I mean, when I'm 78, I'm not going to want to get on a ladder either.
I know. Yeah. But it is kind of frightening when you put a bulb in there and say, now, the next time someone goes up there, I'll be dead.
I'll be dead the next time. I'm going to put a little note in the bulb.
Yes.
So, yeah. Wow, that's a...
Change bulb, pray for me.
Just don't forget me. You can find Dick and his website at gizwiz.biz, gizwiz.biz. That's where you'll find a link to the Tech Guy Show and the levitating lamp, but also to the What the Heck Is It contest, a chance to win an autographed copy of Mad Magazine.
Yes.
What the heck? This looks like a stylus that's also a stylus holder. That's my guess. It's a stylus that holds another stylus. And then if you put it's kind of like a Matryoshka doll.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, send that in. So I can.
So you can mock me.
Not send
me an autograph. So Dick has autographed copies of Mad Magazine for the as many as 12 right answers, but also more, 24 for the cleverest wrong answers. Obviously, I am not in that category, but I'll keep working on it.
Okay.
Gizwiz.biz. Also, don't forget gizwiz.tv for his weekly Gizwiz podcast. And I think you featured the levitating lamp. Did Chad take it and put it on his head?
No.
No. Well, I would have.
No, he didn't. No, because it was at a press event, so we didn't have them in studio. Right. Otherwise, he would have.
Gizwiz.tv. Thank you, Dickie D.
Thank
Always
you, sir.
Pleasure to see you. Are you installing Windows 10 on Wednesday? Are you going to run and put it in?
I am going to do it.
Did you get that little pop-up thing?
I did get the pop-up.
And you said reserve it and all of that.
I said reserve, yes.
So I guess we won't be talking to you next week because your computers will all be messed up.
No, I'm only putting it on 2 to start.
Yeah, that's smart.
And I have a third one.
My experience, and I've installed it on a lot of machines. It installs easily. It's reliable. And I think it's a worthy upgrade. I think a lot of people will be very happy to see
I'm looking forward to
Start menu back, the desktop back, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, thank you, Dick. We'll see you next week.
I'll be here.
Gizwiz.biz. That's the place to go for Dickie D and Dick's Gadget Warehouse. Our website is techguylabs.com. If you go there, you'll find audio and video of the show after the fact. You'll also find answers to all the questions, links, and most importantly, and I really want to encourage you to do this, if you have been listening and you've been yelling at the radio, Leo, you're wrong. You don't have to yell anymore. You could just go right to the website, find that particular question and answer, and put in your comments. And you can also vote up or down previous comments. So I think it's going to be a great way to, over time, doing this show now for more than 10 years, to get a rich resource of information for people so they can get their questions answered just by visiting. No fee, no sign-up required. I don't want your email. You keep it. TechGuyLabs.com. Thanks to Nathan Staten, our musical director, to Heather Hammond, the phone ranger, and most importantly, thanks to you for putting up with me for the last few hours. I'll see you next time. Have a great Geek Week. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, it's just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows on the Netcast network. It's called TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. You even get your daily dose of tech news with Tech News Today and Tech News Tonight. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.